welcome to the session on exploring the social innovation ecosystem and thinking around how that connects with the voluntary sector. I'm Helen, I'm Chief Exec of the Melting Pot, which is Scotland's Centre for Social Innovation.
And I'm Manish Joshi, I work at Strathclyde University and I lead our social innovation cluster at the University of Strathclyde.
Brilliant. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of what the Melting Pot does, who we are, how we came about, and then I'm going to hand over to Manish, who's going to talk a little bit more around what is social innovation, and then we're going to hand over to you guys to talk to some of the people in the room. So, who knows the Melting Pot? Anyone heard of us? Okay, a few people, great. So we are Scotland's Centre for Social Innovation, and we have been around in Scotland for 17 and a half years, so quite a long time. We're particularly well known for co-working, but I will talk a little bit more about the other aspects of what we do. But at the heart of what we're about is about working with change makers to drive positive change for social and environmental causes across Scotland. So in the Melting Pot, when we talk about social innovation, what we're talking about is that creative process of addressing societal challenges, fostering positive and sustainable change in communities and people's lives. One of the key things for us is it's agnostic. So actually, we're not just about the third sector. We work across sectors from public, private, third sector, academic, and we think that's really important if we want to see that positive change happen for people and planet. We actually all need to be working together collaboratively to tackle some of those really complex and wicked problems that we see. So we very much act as a catalyst, bringing people together from those different sectors, facilitating that impactful innovation. And we foster environments where ideas can thrive for those working towards solving those problems in Scotland and beyond. Key bit for us is that collaboration and inclusivity is key. And I think that's a really essential when we talk about social innovation, and we also talk around that collective wisdom of different communities leads to better solutions for all. So when we talk around our community and our ecosystem, I think this slide just gives you a little bit of a flavour. What that looks like at the moment is we've got over 450 active members here in Edinburgh, Glasgow, the Central Belt, and that's people who might be on our incubator programme, coming in to use our space, attending our events, working with us on our consultancy. But wider than that, we've got 4,000 plus members across Scotland who interact with us in different ways, whether that's through our Connected Hubs initiative that we're working with some of the partners on, or it's through some of the projects and consultancy that we're delivering in different parts of Scotland. It's a really diverse network, so that's just a flavour of some of the people we were working with last year. And I think, as I've mentioned, that's really key for us because we know that we can't tackle these problems on our own. So one of the key things for us as well is that our ecosystem of support evolves just beyond access to a building. It includes knowledge exchange, partnerships and learning, and really we act as that enabler to enable people within our community to turn their great ideas into a reality and hopefully connect them in with others within that ecosystem so they continue that journey much beyond their interactions with us. There's a quote up there which I think is a really nice summary of what it's like to be part of the Melting Pot, where somebody, when we did our social impact report a couple of years ago, they talked around how they just simply felt part of something bigger. And I think you can feel that when you come to our events, come to the space. So just to give you a little bit of an overview of the different aspects of what we do. We do co-working and co-location. So that's really about creating spaces for collaboration and innovation. And that's centered around being part of a community with purpose. I've talked about collaborative working a lot, but I'm just going to say that again, that we really are embedded in working collaboratively and developing those partnerships that enable growth and development for change makers at a local and a national level. And this is a great example of that collaboration, which Manish will tell you more about as well. We have consultancy services, and that is where we work with others to co-create purpose-driven communities and create spaces and places which foster well-being and innovation and inclusion. And we provide lots of tools and structures to help bring ideas to life through those services. We recently launched with a few other partners. I think one of them's in the room, just can't see because there's a bright light at me, a connected hubs network. And that is around how do we collectively work together to create these places with purpose across Scotland. We also have our incubation service, which is where we take people from the very early stages, seed of a good idea, who want to tackle those complex social and environmental problems. And we take them from concept to launch, and then we feed them into the wider ecosystem, whether that's with people like Challenges, First Port, or even into the more private sector where it's Startup Grind and others, or the B Corp movement, depending on the direction of travel. The last thing really from me was about just showing you a wee video. I think it's very easy to sort of stand up here and talk about what we do, but this video from an event we ran last year really kind of captures that and brings it to life. This is part of our Bridging Communities event series, which has brought together a good number of different partners across Scotland over the last 3 years since we launched this. And what that has done is it's about sparking connections, it's about inspiring action, and it's about breaking down some of those different silos that exist within our communities. So it's around bringing the tech sector into the room with the grassroots community organisation, or bringing our academics in to talk to a third sector charity partner, and actually recognising that when we're all, by working together, we can make real change happen. I think that's, for us, is what the heart of social innovation is all about. So this video, a couple of minutes, just to give you a little bit of a flavour for that, and then I'm going to hand over to Manish, who's going to talk a little bit more about social innovation.
It's just got a really friendly, sort of upbeat vibe from the minute that you come in, and it's just really enjoyable and creative space that you can talk freely and be yourself in.
So I just want to say welcome to Bridging Communities, the extended edition.
I love the title. I love the idea of bridging community. I love the idea of bringing people together, because I feel as a community of people working, especially in the social sector, we're doing a lot of work in silo. So the idea of a space like this that's going to bring people together, it's a must for me.
Lots of interaction, lots of facilitation, lots of encouraging of really great conversations that are really meaningful and can make an impact and a difference.
A plus as well is the diversity of the communities that come. It's not just, everything is about race or gender or whatnot. So it makes it very interesting, a true melting pot, if I may. I have genuinely enjoyed the conversations. I've enjoyed having people having different perspectives to me, but being in a safe space enough to talk about them.
There was no judgment, and it was a place where you could just be honest with your question and get an honest answer. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. The highlight has been the warmth, and just feeling as though you're part of something big that is happening, because I believe that this is only going to get bigger.
Oh, it was great, doesn't it? And we're going to give you a bit of a flavour of that shortly. So I'm going to maybe give you a bit of an overview on some of the common features of social innovation. Now, you all work in the third sector, the voluntary sector, so you're probably all socially innovating anyway. often out of necessity, often out of the need to make scarce resources go further, sometimes to look at what you're doing with your service users. So actually, I'm probably speaking to people who are doing this far better than many others out there already. But as Helen touched on, a lot of what we're trying to do with the work that both of us are engaged with is cross-sectoral. Like the challenges that we face, whether it's around homelessness, whether it's around poverty, sustainability, climate change, inequality, we can't really do them on our own. You know, there's that proverb that talks about if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And in many ways, social innovation is all about how do we go further together? How can we actually work collectively to tackle some of the greatest challenges that we face? And so much of that needs to be from the grassroots down, as well as from top down and bottom up. And so we try to create places and spaces where people can come together, where we can create more proximity and friction actually to bring different sectors together in an open and collaborative format. And you know, there's a lot of talk. I know there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of days around open engagement and doing much more of our work out in the open. And as universities, and I'm speaking as somebody who works at Strathclyde University, I've got loads of colleagues doing amazing research right across the board, across, you know, with 4 faculties, 32 centres and institutes. And lots of that is published, it's in journals and it's in places where academics might go, but we don't often get that out into the hands maybe of people like yourselves. And I guess one of the things I'm here to talk about today is make a bit of a pitch. And it's not just for Strathclyde University, it's actually for universities and colleges, is hopefully you get a chance to go and get more engaged with them. And I guess just to maybe take a quick show of hands, who here went to university? Like, put your hand up if you went to uni. Keep your hand up if you are still engaged with the university that you went to. So that engagement tends to drop off, I think, particularly in the UK. I don't think we have a great culture of like staying connected to our alumni and actually talking to them and bringing them in. And a lot of the work we're trying to do at the moment is around how we can open up the space to third sector, public sector organisations to get more engaged with the work that universities and colleges do. And you know, there'll be folks here from all over Scotland. You may not have a university where you are, but there's probably a college, there's probably an anchor institution of some sort. It might even be the hospital, you know, because actually a lot of them will have an element of learning in there. I'd encourage you to try and get engaged with that anchor institution. Think about how you might engage with them on the work that you're doing. Are there opportunities there to develop joint assets and capabilities? So often funding requirements and calls that are coming out now from research councils across the UK are looking for external partners. They're looking for co-investigators on these applications that are from the third sector, that are from industry, that are actually working in practice on a lot of these things. And so you bring a huge amount of experience and expertise into the space. And so I think we're looking to do much more of that. Now, there's lots of different types of social innovation, and you'll all be here from different organisations. And I think we're looking at, you know, new products, new services, processes. Are there new markets that are opening up? You know, we've got AI out there, which I think in many ways is everything and nothing all at the same time. But how are you going to use AI? Does that open up new opportunities? Are you sitting on a bank of data as an organisation that maybe you've not done a lot with, or you could do more with by collaborating with other organisations, working with local authorities? I think there are always opportunities in this type of space to look at, you know, new forms of organisation as well. And I think we're seeing a much more delegated, diversified approach to how social innovation tackles some of the wicked problems that we face. So how are we doing that in a university context? And I can only speak really from the Strathclyde perspective, but this kind of applies in other contexts, and Edinburgh is not massively dissimilar as far as I understand. But at Strathclyde, we are the anchor university to innovation districts. So we've got the Glasgow City Innovation District, and we've got the Advanced Manufacturing Innovation District for Scotland, which is out near Glasgow Airport. So what's an innovation district? Well, it's a kind of geographically bound space where we have a lot of different assets that are working together. We have a lot of different organisations that are coming together. So within Glasgow City Innovation District, you've got the University of Strathclyde as one of the anchor partners there, but you've got the City Council and you've got Scottish Enterprise. And in the district, there's 1,600 organisations, and we've got all kinds of assets from concert spaces, event spaces, right through to art galleries and various other things. And it's how do we bring people together? How do you bring people together to tackle some of these things? And one of the, I guess, the real benefits for me in the last year has been working with Helen and the team at the Melting Pot to bring the Bridging Communities programme through to Glasgow. So we've done we've done a lunchtime event, we've done an evening event. We're going to do one of the extended editions at the start of April. And I believe that you're doing some in Edinburgh as well at the moment. And part of that really is to bring as broad a cross-section together as we can and to see the conversations that happen when you put people in a room and you give them the opportunity just to engage with a bit of spaciousness, maybe a little bit of facilitation. We've seen some really interesting conversations and opportunities come out from that. At the Strathclyde, we're taking a kind of quadruple helix approach. So how can you bring together the third sector, industry, academia and the public sector to really tackle some of these challenges? And the work I'm doing focuses on inequalities, on mental health and well-being, and on communities and citizens. And so there's opportunities there right across the board to bring public sector and third sector organisations together. We have a number of institutes and centres at the university, and lots of other unis will be exactly the same, whether it's looking at health, looking at energy, there's all kinds of stuff going on there. And then we've got our existing faculties and our clusters. So at Strathclyde, we've got a number of industrial clusters, and our social innovation cluster is really an opportunity for us to connect what we're doing in fintech, health tech, space, with our more socially progressive values. How are we actually using some of that technology to tackle some of the biggest challenges that we face? And so, as I said, universities are a great driver for social change, but they don't do that in a vacuum. They don't do that in isolation. They require, world-class research. They require knowledge exchange, opportunities to come and work with third sector, voluntary sector partners. We'll incubate lots of businesses and organisations, companies that are spinning out. We've done a couple of social enterprises in the last year as well, and we're hoping to do more and more. But the uni is also a place where you might have a bit of IP, you might have an idea, or you might have an organisation. You think, I could spin that in. I could actually get some more support for what we're doing, grow it, try to get expertise around it, and then potentially spin it back out. Has anyone ever done a knowledge transfer partnership with a university? Anyone in here? Yeah, we've got one in here. So KTPs are a really great way for you to maybe embed some expertise in your organisation, to work closely with a university partner and to get some real defined product out of it. And there is a real appetite to do more with charities in that space. So if you're in the east, there's the east of Scotland KTP Centre, there's one in the west, there's one in the northeast as well. You might have done your degree, you might have done your postgrad degree, but universities also offer spaces to do executive education, to do micro-credentialing. Go and check out your local university or college. There might be all kinds of opportunities that you could tap into for yourself, for your staff teams. Often we can even bespoke programs. So if you're looking for something in particular around, say, sustainability and AI, you could actually go talk to your local university or college. They might be able to help you with something like that. And I guess we're here to talk about the ecosystem and how we develop that ecosystem. And there's a lot of activity in Scotland in around the tech space and around heritage, culture. Hopefully some of you managed to secure funding from the culture sector last week. But how can we bring people together more to look at that in a more holistic and collective environment? Taking a place-based approach is definitely one way to do that, and we're seeing a lot of that work. There's some great stuff happening down in St. Dumfries Galloway with the Stove Network, if anyone's familiar with their work. And if you're not, you should go check it out. But they're doing some really, really interesting place-based innovation there with people. The connectivity part, I think, is really essential. Like, how can we get people together? And obviously we can do lots more with technology, but I think events like this are really key in terms of coming into the gathering, getting to meet with colleagues and people from the same space you're in, but also in different spaces. And just thinking about some of those network dynamics there. On Helen's slide, you saw Community Lab were on there. Again, I'd encourage people maybe to sign up to that platform. There's lots of conversations going on there around the ecosystem. What's missing? Where are the gaps? Where are we falling short of what our expectations should be? Where can we do more to push the government, to push local authorities, other partners in that? And then how can we develop the skills that we need, both within the ecosystem, but also using universities, colleges, others in some of that space? And then it all sounds great, all sounds easy, but there are barriers, right? And obviously money is one of the big ones there, funding, financing for it. But there have been a number of calls in the last couple of years coming from Scottish Enterprise, coming from Scottish Government, coming from local authorities around shared prosperity funding and others. So there are opportunities to look at where you could try and get funding and finance. And I think often try to team up with people, try to come together and do this as a collective. Certainly helps. Governance and coordination, like how do you manage more complex stakeholder systems? How does a collaborative project actually work in practice when you're bringing together public sector bodies, universities, third sector organisations, and just getting a real sense of how do you manage change? I think actually like foregrounding that, really talking about that, what are some of the resistance and barriers you might face if you're trying to take a project, a socially innovative project, and change the way you're doing things in an organisation or in terms of your service delivery. And just, I think, always being cognizant of the inequalities that are inherent, that are baked into the system. How are you going to try and maybe overcome some of them? So I guess from my perspective, just some key takeaways are really around that quadruple helix approach. Thinking about anchor institutions wherever you are. They may be universities, there may be colleges, there might be other anchors in there, local authorities, hospitals. How you engage in stakeholders? Is there better ways that you could go about maybe trying to get people around the table? And I think just try to create some space in there. What is the role of AI? We've not really touched on that massively, but I do think there's an opportunity in terms of putting citizens and communities at the heart of what we're doing around AI that could really benefit us. And then thinking about connectivity and collaboration. Go out there, make connections, make new pals. You might have loads of great pals, but actually there's always more people you can meet. And I think the ecosystem in Scotland, we are very well resourced, I think, in many ways around organisations that are there to help get you started and set up. Maybe we were lacking sometimes as in resource to really help you go to the Dolomites, but to do some of those other things. But I think in the age that we face, we're all going to have to work much more collaboratively. We're going to have to come together. We're going to have to share resources. We're going to have to share experience and expertise. And don't forget your local university or college in that, because they've got loads of students. They've got, if you're looking for digital trustees, universities, great place, full of digital natives. If you're looking for projects that you want to put in, universities are brilliant. Every programme needs to have somebody who's going to take it forward, whether that's undergrad, masters, some even the postgrad, they've got like credits that they need to get. So sometimes they can be working with third sector organisations. So go and have a conversation. If you don't know who to talk to, I'm more than happy to try and do some signposting through others in and around Scotland who are working in universities and colleges. But thank you very much for your time and attention today.
Thank you.